more of Cupid today because I started up a separate file last night to play through a little more of the game. Oh, thanks for that, Isis. Sorry, my cat's climbing on me. Um, Started a different file so that I could play through a little more and took a different route than the one I was currently doing for the sake of achievements. But each ending, I've heard there's a quote unquote like best ending. I got ending number 3, and it was pretty fucked up if I'm gonna be fucking honest. Like I was playing this at like 2 in the morning and legitimately was like getting nervous because everything just got super fucking creepy, like real fast, like shit got real. So, today I'm gonna continue my main file, the one that I've been playing on here. Not gonna show any of that other file because, to be honest, I skipped through a lot of the dialogue in it, and I saved, but not until I was at the very end. So let me see. Do I need to? I'm gonna make the music and stuff a little bit quieter this time because last time I noticed it was still kind of noisy. And when I play it back, the music sounds a little louder anyways. So I'm going to continue from this file. That's the one I did last night. I finished at like 2 a.m. It was fucking creepy. We're going to play this one. In the once slumbering town, the streets were alive with flowers. Pretty young girls wrapped in thin white dresses lined up in their rows, tittering excitedly among themselves. Each maiden was armed with a basket brimming with flowers. When the clock struck 8, it was the given signal. Girl by girl, the rows progressed down the crowded street, their dresses twirling as they danced. Colors scattered as they unloaded their baskets. Dahlias, tulips, orchids, poppies, sweet peas, they all spiraled across the air and into the hands of the startled citizens. The young men on the street sprang into action. They cheered and hooted and clapped and laughed, and the girls curtsied to them in return. Some intrepid boys even dared blow a kiss, hoping for a reward. And when the girls blew kisses back, they reddened to the tips of their ears and hooted in joy. Rose! Hey, Rose! At first, she didn't know who he was talking to. But then she saw the rose he flourished in front of her, like a gentleman's magic trick. Well, I'll have to call you something, right? How about Rose? This particular boy had been at her tail for several days now. The flower festival was a good excuse for romance. It was around this time that the young men of the town went around wooing their prospective lovers. Most would have gone for a taller, more outspoken type of girl, but for some reason this boy was smitten with her. Go on, take it. She shook her head. She knew she didn't deserve it. Again with that stone-cold act? Come on, you're breaking my heart. He laughed gaily, enjoying the thrill of courtship. Why? Why do you love me so much? Is that what's bothering you? I'll tell you one thing, Rose, and you'd better remember this for the rest of your life. When someone loves someone else, there's no need for a reason. I just love you, Rose. Won't you at least smile at me? You love me? He flashed his best youthful grin. Sure I love you, to the moon and back. She knew she shouldn't take the rose. She knew it was wrong. And yet she also knew at this instant that her face was burning hot. Her fingers closed on the rose. Even as she felt the thorns on her skin, she still held on to it. The expression on the boy's face was one of absolute bliss. He hooted and did a little dance. I do love you, Rose. I really do. He grinned at her. To her surprise, she found herself smiling back. Hold on, oh, whoop. Okay, I messed up my screen for a minute, but there's some weird gunk on my mouse. I don't know how it got on there. Whatever. Anyway. A warm, pleasant feeling gushed inside her. It was like tucking into a hot, home-cooked meal. Mother, I'm home! Nowadays, she and her mother lived in a quiet cottage, far away from the main streets. The joy and exuberance of the flower festival had long since faded away now, leaving her with the stillness of the lonely house. Mother, are you home? There was no answer, not even a sound. Usually her mother would have heard the door open by now. She would run up and plaster her with hugs and kisses. Now, however, the unnerving silence meant one of two things. One, Mother was not here, which wasn't possible because she was always here. Or two, Mother was angry. Rosa felt a chill down her spine as she realized. Was it possible that Mother had had her suspicions and had followed her? Mother, I'm coming inside now. The sound of the door closing was like a clash of thunder. Rosa, bowing her head, descended deeper into the house. Mother was in the kitchen. She was bent down with her back to the doorway, washing clothes in a wooden basin. She looked just like a normal mother, but Rosa knew better, because just above Mother hung the cross. It was a heavy wooden crucifix, and it had been there as long as Rosa could remember. It was so solid that if it were to drop, it would crush someone's toe. The girl knew this well. Having felt the cross so many times, she knew exactly how heavy it was. Oh my God. The sharp corners of the cross were especially capable of drawing blood. Mother dipped her hands into the water. Squitch, squitch. She crushed the clothes in a vice grip. Where did you go? Her sudden question sliced through the air, and Rose almost jumped out of her skin. Just the marketplace, Mother. She tried to press the plump red rose behind her, to stomp on it and make it disappear into the ground. But it was too late. Mother stood up. Mother, it's not what you think, I swear. I'm not planning to see him again. I just wanted to make him happy, that's all. If Rosa looked at Mother any longer, she thought her courage would dry up, so she quickly glanced at her feet. I'll throw away the rose. I'll make sure you never see it again. So... Oh my God. The blow came so fast she never expected it. Suddenly she was on her knees, her skull throbbing in pain. She looked up just in time to see her mother raise the cross another time. Fear overtook her. Although she knew it was no use running, she scrambled away all the same. Mother, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. How much do you think raising a child costs you, little rat? Mother, please. Undeterred, the cross slammed hard onto Rosa's collarbone. She shrieked, rolled over, and tried to get back to her feet. I clothe you, I house you, and I even feed you. I protect you from everything that might harm you. And yet I ask nothing in return, absolutely nothing. Didn't I tell you not to go to that festival? Yet you just can't help shaking your hips at those men, can you? All of them are the same, didn't I say that? Up and down came the cross. By now Rosa had resorted to curling up into a ball and covering her eyes. She cried out her pleas, her vows of obedience and love. Do you have any idea how much I've sacrificed? What have I wasted my life for? To be stuck with a filthy monster who betrays me every chance she gets? I have told you time and again, do not disobey me. Mother! I should have smothered you years ago. You are a curse. I do all of this for you, to protect you, and you repay me how? With lies and betrayal? I should have thrown you out the window and watched the crows feed on your remains. It's not too late now, don't you think? Maybe I should teach you a harder lesson. Maybe I should leave here right now and never come back. Worse than any physical pain, the girl felt a despair so big it made her heart burst. Rosa clung to her mother's legs. Please, Mother, please don't leave me. I'll atone for this somehow, Mother. Please stay with me. You're beyond atonement, you degenerate whore. With one final strike, Mother sent her spinning to the ground. The cross had hit her face. Rosa tried to open her eyes and felt something warm trickle down her face. She lay on the floor, crying. Her tears mixed with the blood, and she wondered if Mother really was going to walk out of the house. She could still hear Mother's footsteps, feet thudding near to her head. At first they were hard and fast, then slow and hesitant. At some point in time, Rosa realized the blows had stopped. She dared not raise her head from the floor, so she waited. Something touched her head. It wasn't a cross, but a soft, warm hand. The sound of a sob. Darling? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. What have I done? Rosa tensed, but she allowed Mother to sit her up. Next thing she knew, Mother had her arms wrapped around her. She was still crying. You poor thing. I'm so sorry. Mother's so stupid. Her tears were genuine and mournful. The sorrow in her eyes hurt a million times more than any blow. I shouldn't have done that. The woman stared at her hands. She dropped the cross as if it was spoiled meat. The girl let her mother hug her. It was her fault anyway. She had disobeyed Mother. She deserved the punishment. She drowned herself in her arms and felt the familiar surge of love. This was home. Home. No matter how broken. Life before Mother was a blur. She was nothing without her. Mother looked into her eyes and touched her face, wiping away her tears. She locked her lips around hers and delivered a long, deep kiss. I love you so much, my darling. Please forgive me. I love you too, Mother. Don't cry. Oh, you're bleeding. Just wait here. Mother sat her on a chair and returned with a roll of bandages. She began nursing Rosa's head with delicate care. I'm sorry, Mother. No, no, I'm the one who's sorry. Forgive me for what I said. You know I would never leave you, right? Even if you had committed the foulest sin, I will never desert you. I will always be by your side. Thank you, Mother. I get worried, darling. You understand. Yes. I'm very afraid. Always afraid. The woman's voice dropped into a whisper. A sudden split second of lucidity. You scare me. She shook her head, forgetting the thought. Just obey me from now on, promise? Mother knows what's best for you. Yes, Mother. Later on at dinner time, Rosa's favorite dish was on the menu. The vegetable and meat stew with brown gravy that only her mother would make. Rosa tucked in eagerly, all the while feeling the cool bandage pressing lightly against her forehead. The events of the past hour had already seemed to fade away into a distant memory. Mother sat across the table, also eating. She seemed to be deep in thought. Mother? I won't see that boy anymore. If he calls out to me, I'll run until he can't catch me. I know you'll do the right thing, my darling. You didn't ask for all of this, did you, poor thing? If only your father was a better man. Here Rosa pricked up her ears. It was rare to hear Mother talk about father, and even rarer to see her mention him so calmly. All throughout her life, Rosa had wondered what about the man whom Mother had fallen in love with. Now it looked like she had the opportunity to glean a few more rare bits of information. Father, was he good to you? Mother puckered up her lips and appeared to ignore this. Rosa decided to risk it and ask another question, tentatively. Did you love him a lot? Mother's eyes were somewhere far away. I don't know. No emotion, neither pain nor fondness, registered on her face. But he certainly loved me back then. Maybe. Now I'm smarter. I know better than to trust men like him. You, too, will understand when you grow up. That people who love you will hurt you the most, and you only have yourself to blame. After all, you gave them permission to rearrange the awnings of your soul. Do not give anyone that permission. Rosa nodded, accepting her mother's teachings. Promise me, darling. When the time comes and you meet a demon like your father, you'll take revenge for me. Take revenge for me. Rosa's hands were over her head. She pressed herself into a corner, panting. She had never heard Mother this loud before. Take revenge! This one was so loud it rattled around her skull and made her vision blur. Mother, what more do you want? The spell's already... She bent her head down, black spots creeping into the edge of her vision. She was so tired. You cannot hide anything from me. What is this doubt you are nursing? You're hesitating. You're crafting another spell, you stupid harlot. That filthy Marquis is exactly the kind of monster I've been warning you about. You dare plan behind my back? I just don't want to kill any more, Mother. She couldn't help but answer back this time. How could she not? After years filled with love and acceptance, it made her realize all the more how precious life was. The thought of snuffing out somebody else's life sent a detestable shiver through her bones. She had planned on running away from this place, abandoning whatever duty that now fell into her hands. Why was it her duty, anyway? She just wanted to take the good memories of this place and taint them no longer. Whatever truth she sought wasn't enough payment for peace. I don't want to. Her voice shook. I don't want to kill him, Mother. I don't want to kill anyone, please. Is this cowardice or stupidity? Oh. This whispering is disconcerting. Wait. It's saying Gam's name. Which I realized I was saying his name wrong. I think it's Gam. Which, fuck me, I didn't know. I don't know French. But, there you go, you had 2 videos of me saying it wrong. I think it's Gam. You hate him, don't you? Look deep into your heart and you will find it, child. As there is deep love, there is burning hate. A hate so strong it compels to end a life. Yes, darling, let it burn in you. This fire that consumes the same way. Channel it. Use it. No, please. Rosa's head began to throb and a vile sickness spread through her stomach. He took everything away from you, darling. He took Catherine. He will not stop. He needs to be punished. With his final proclamation, Rosa was struck to the floor. The feeling of fainting was stronger than ever. Alone in the dark, she lay there, panting like a sick dog, waiting for what would come next. Guillaume killed me. He made me love him, and then he betrayed me. He deserves death. Only you can kill him. I can't kill him. It's what I want. That's not true. It is. You're my best friend, Rosa. Friends avenge each other, don't they? My darling daughter, I could always count on you to do the right thing. So kill him. Kill Guillaume. Kill him. Promise me. Make him suffer. Stab him with a knife. Stick a dagger down his throat. Gouge his eyes out. Take revenge! Rosa clutched her head so hard she thought her skull would burst. For a long moment she lay as though she were dead. 5 minutes, 10 minutes passed. Then, in the middle of the empty room, Rosa's voice rang out as clear as a bell. I understand. Rosa knocked on Guillaume's door, carrying a tray of food. She'd been poisoning his meals in small doses for weeks now, taking note of any ill effects it yielded. There had been none. Guillaume was still fit and healthy as ever. No symptoms at all, even after she increased the dosage. Either he hadn't eaten anything for a month, or he was immune to poison. Both possibilities were suspect. Rosa knocked again. There was no response from the other side of the door. It may have worked. It was not a total loss, however. She remembered Catherine mentioning how particular Guillaume was with his sleep. Just as she had been about to give up, she had ventured on this hunch. It was true. Guillaume was curiously rather sensitive to sedatives. Rosa had offered rose tea to Guillaume that afternoon under the guise that she had made a new recipe. It had been laced with opium and valerian, sweetened with honey to mask the taste. Whether or not it was the casting of Philia, he had drunk it without a second thought. He had retired early that evening. Rosa noted the grogginess visible in his gait. She snuck the master key this evening. Tonight is her night. Oh, fuck, this is going to be the creepy part. Or, well, starting creepy parts. This was very unsettling to go through at 1 in the morning, let me tell you that. Rosa pushed the door to his room open. It took a couple of seconds for her eyes to adjust to the darkness. It felt like a different world inside this room. By closing the door, it was as if she had cut herself off from the living. Rosa took an unsure step once she found her bearings. She placed the tray of food on the nearest flat surface, careful not to make any noise. The candle she lit provided little comfort. It seemed to cower from the intimidating blanket of shadows. Rosa heaved. The air felt humid here, the atmosphere almost stale. Now that she was inside and venturing deeper, a sudden impulse to find the door gripped her. She looked back. It seemed farther away. Why was she so anxious? She had been in this room before. It was perfectly normal. Tonight it was a different story. The room seemed to breathe. Rosa gulped. What a curious word. There was no other way to describe it, though. The flickering shadows made it seem like the walls were respiring around her. The room felt alive. It was asleep, like its owner, but alive. In the dim light of her candle, the red carpet looked like flesh. The furnishings were viscera. It didn't feel like she entered a room at all, but a belly. Something darted in the corner of her eye. Rosa snapped her head. Just a curtain. Rosa let out the breath she was holding in her chest, aware with every move her body made. She tiptoed towards the canopy. It was perhaps the highlight of the room, an organic monstrosity of red plush and velvet. From afar it didn't look like a bed at all, but a cage. If the room was a cavern of meat, then this was its heart. Rosa approached. Every muscle in her body was tense. She could see a figure sprawled on the bed, limbs sticking out clumsily. He was lying on his chest, back bare, clothes littering the floor. Guillaume seemed to have fallen into the bed instead of climbing in. One of his arms stuck out from the mattress. His breath was fitful, but slow, a light snore coming from him. What was that? Rosa looked around for the source of the noise, but the room was still. A slow trickle of sweat traced her spine. Did that come from the window? Should she check? Rosa didn't move. Something was in the room with her. She could feel it. She stole a glance at Guillaume. He hadn't moved from the bed. Rosa's ears tried to pick up the faintest noise. It felt like hours of her staying frozen on that spot, wishing to blend with the darkness. But there was no one there. She had probably imagined it. She took a deep breath and calmed herself down. The sooner she was out of this room, the better. Philia's effects would diminish once the candle died. After that, she might not have another chance. She had to find out more about him tonight. The thought of her goal helped steel her nerves. Where should she begin? She took a step. Rosa darted her head, looking for the source of the skittering noise. Her ears were too sensitive now. She heard every creak and moan in the room. She took a deep breath. Focus. Rosa surveyed everything. There was a book by Guillaume's bedside table. It was only a couple of steps away, but she'd have to come dangerously close to the bed. As much as she could, she'd rather maintain the distance between her and the creature on the bed. Creature. Why did she think that? Perhaps it was the arrangement of the sheets, or the shadows playing their tricks, but... Rosa shook her head. Perhaps there was another place to look. We've come here to gather information. You should check the book. Rosa sighed. Mother was right. She had to check every source to be sure. She inched herself closer to the bed. The faint candlelight indicated that the book on the bedside was red. It wasn't the journal she had seen Guillaume write in. Rosa tiptoed her way closer. Guillaume's hand dangled mere inches away. She reached her arms towards the book and swiped it noiselessly. The candle almost went out with her sigh. She backed up from the bed with the book under her arm. Adrenaline surged in her blood. It almost made her smile. Rosa examined her prize, a book in a foreign language. She remembered seeing such thin, obscure characters somewhere. She wasn't sure which country, but it was probably Asian. She flipped the book and saw a piece of parchment folded on one of the pages. A sailing permit for a barge named La Victoria, dated for the end of the month, 2 days from now. It outlined the cargo and the purpose of the trip, with no date of return. Traveling? No. Leaving. Guillaume was planning to leave. This was a suspicion she had since she had started observing him. His sudden aloofness with the town affairs, the secret purchase of a ship, the decrease of servants in his employ. Now it was confirmed. It was just as well we found this. We must end it tonight before he has a chance to escape. Although it was a good thing to confirm this suspicion, the fact helped her little. If anything, it just made it even more urgent to find something tonight. She had to continue. Rosa steadied herself and stepped back to the bed. Her hand finally brushed against the wood of the table after some quiet fumbling. She caught sight of something shiny inside the drawer. Open it, child. Rosa pulled the drawer open ever so slightly. She peeked inside. Inside was an ornate dagger with a golden hilt, set in with rubies. An old, delicate pattern was carved into its blade. There was a heat emanating from it, almost like it was alive, like the rest of the room. She almost missed it in the dim light, but there was also a key in the same cabinet. Okay, so when I did this before, I took the dagger first, so this time I'm going to try taking the key first. Take the key and leave that dagger. I have a bad feeling about that weapon. Leave it be. Rosa agreed with Mother. The weapon was as sinister as it was beautiful. She didn't want to touch it. Rosa took the tiny key into her hand, feeling the cool metal against her palm. She pushed the drawer back. Guillaume shifted. Rosa blew the candle out. She scuttled behind the small table. It barely hid her. Guillaume had changed positions in his sleep. Now his face was in full view and facing her direction. Rosa's heart banged in her chest. It was so loud she was concerned the room might echo the sound and announce her intrusion. Rosa waited a few minutes before moving. She decided to crouch down, holding the unlit candle close to her chest. Easy now. She shuffled away from the bed in relief. The candle was dead, but her eyes were now well adjusted to the darkness. She could make out a desk in the furthest part of the room. He must do most of his writing there. There's a huge chance the journal is near. It wasn't very dignifying, but Rosa decided to crawl towards it. Now that Guillaume's face was in full view, a flutter of the eyelid was all it would take to catch her. It would be better to minimize her risks. She dropped to her knees and placed her palms on the floor. Oh, I hate that noise. She drew her hand back. Was she imagining it? When her palms touched the floor, it felt warm, wet. Her fingers were sucked into the floor as if she'd touched soft, pulpy flesh. The hallucination was so strong that her nose detected a spray of iron in the air. Her stomach heaved. She rubbed her hand. There was no wetness or blood anywhere. The floor was solid. It must have been her imagination. Rosa touched the floor warily, patting it and pulling on the carpet fibers. Just a normal carpet. Rosa let out slow, small breaths as she started to move once more. She patted her way to the desk. Every time her skin came into contact with the floor, bile rose up her throat. It took some effort to resist the urge to gag. Finally, the desk was directly in front of her. She looked back at the bed. From this angle, it was hard to tell if Guillaume had moved. She hoped that the big desk also hid her in its shadows. Rosa rummaged. There was no trace of the book on the tabletop. She only found a pot of ink, loose sheets of paper, and a quill. That damn thing had to be close. She opened the first shelf and found a stack of papers. Nothing. She shuffled through them, but the drawer didn't have the journal. She looked through the second drawer, and the third. There was nothing of interest. Finally, she pulled on the last drawer. It was locked. Rosa sucked the air through her teeth. Of course it's locked. How could I have been so stupid? Rosa slumped in a depressed heap. The key. Rosa looked at the key in her hand. She slid it into the hole and heard the lock click. A deep feeling of relief washed over her. The drawer slid open. Rosa looked inside. There it was. In her eyes, the green journal was a treasure. She lifted the book from its resting place. It was heavier than she expected. Rosa smiled. She ran her hands along the velvet cover of the book, savoring the texture. At last, she had it! Child. Mother's voice was riddled with anxiety. Something is wrong. Her excitement had clouded her senses. Almost at once, she felt the change in the air. Everything was still. Her stomach shrunk into its cavity. Fresh sweat broke out under her scalp. The silence. It had weight. It pressed on her skin and made the air thin in her lungs. Rosa stood up. She had to leave. Now. Rosa shuffled her way out of the room. With every step, her legs seemed to stick uncomfortably to the floor. It slowed her movement. One more step. Her whole foot felt like sinking. She held onto a chair and staggered back. It was throbbing, musty and red, alive and without skin. The air was filled with the unmistakable stench of fresh meat. Rosa ran to the door. She didn't care that the handle seemed to curl around her fingers. She pushed the door open and spilled into the corridor. Rosa fell to her knees while she heard the door close behind her. It almost felt like the door closed by itself. In her confusion, she couldn't be sure. Rosa's heart pounded heavily in her ribs. Just looking at the doorway of the room made her skin crawl. Rosa gathered her wits and stared at the journal in her hand. She hoped it would contain the information they needed. Okay, so in my last one, like I said, I took the dagger. When you take the dagger, you have to pry open the drawer. And there's a really fucking creepy moment where, when she's about to leave, that part where she, like, you know, she's trying to leave and she feels like she's being slowed down. There's a part where you know, in that route, you get to the door and she hears footsteps and it shows Guillaume standing up behind her and says, you know, like, I spy with my little eye. And he's like got this like red aura around him, and she turns around and no one's there. And when she's leaving, she hears the words "little thief" in her head. And that fucked with me at 1 in the morning, let me tell you. I'm going to save real quick so that I don't, you know, since we're a new chapter. So, quote-unquote good intentions. In the warm, dim light of the library, Rosa opened the journal's cover. She wasn't too surprised to find out that a number of entries were written in different tongues. The dates jumped from decade to decade. The writing spanned centuries. Another suspicion validated. Guillaume was not human, or at least he did not have a normal human lifespan. The discovery made Rosa search her mind for her date of birth. It distressed her that she could not remember. She shook her head and turned back to the journal. Despite the multitude of languages, the first entry was translated into several languages. For sentimental reasons, perhaps? Or maybe a feeble attempt at reminiscing a more innocent time. I'm learning to write. Alia gave me paper. I like Alia. She wants me to call her mother. She smells like oranges. She says I am a gift from the goddess, but I don't know any goddesses. Alia calls me Rai. I guess that is my name now. It is nice to have a name. The other preceding pages were still in a different language. Rosa flipped through the pages until she came upon one she could read. They call me Eros, a god, a divine. They don't understand what I am. They either build me statues or spit at my feet. I am a muse. I am a blight, a symbol. But I am not the answer. It seems ironic, isn't it, that love craves love above all? That which I need, that which I am, poisons me to the point that I am sick of its taste. 6th of May. I see it in the way people look at me, the way they act around me. Some would of course think of me as blessed. I have youth, health, and the gift of being loved. But I found out that these gifts are curses as well. My youth forces me to always wander. My looks guarantee that I always stand out. And love? The very same urge that blesses me quickly turns rabid. Yet I understand why. Oh, love. We all crave it, don't we? In the end, we are all drunk on the idea that only love could heal our brokenness. They all think I'm this cure, but I keep hoping there might be something else besides this twisted sentiment. There must be, mustn't there? 6th of March. What am I? God, what am I? I am whole. I can think. I can bleed. But somehow I'm not normal. Who am I? What is my purpose on this earth? I drown myself in delusions of grandeur, that I'm made for something more. It should be, shouldn't it? These gifts, this life, it should all mean something. But the days pass, and the slow trickling horror that I am simply a mutation, a mistake, is creeping up on me. Day in and day out a struggle to survive, directionless and uncertain. I must be made for something more than this, but nobody told me what it is. Rosa read the words and found them tugging at her heart. This was the same feeling she had had for years. It almost seemed like the words were her own. 2nd of December. It is winter oh my god, I don't remember how to pronounce this. Liechtenstein? And even the fire can't take the chill off my weary bones. They named me Isaac. I don't speak much to anyone, but I like it here. The convent is a fine place to stay, until after winter at least. I have finally learned English and German. I met a boy named James. He looks to be about the same age as I. He is an acolyte. He calls me his brother. I rather like that. He told me to be wary of the Monseigneur. Not that I don't have any clues otherwise. I always get a sour taste in my mouth, like acid, like vomit, whenever I'm with him. I think I'm tasting his shame. I know I'm not supposed to be writing this. God forgive me. I do not want to write it down. If I do, it will be the truth. Oh Lord, please forgive me. I didn't mean to do it. I just wanted to stop hurting. I'm hiding now. I slashed my face and cut my hair so they would not recognize me. Pain. Pain is good. A penance. Oh Lord, please. If there is a God listening, please strike me down. Bad memories began to surface in Rosa's mind. Desperation. A cornered animal that fought back. It reminded her of her own sins. Her hands were drenched in red, and yet here she was planning to kill another man. This had been her goal all along, hadn't it? That same familiar guilt began to stir in her mind. She bit her lip. Rosa skipped some entries. Most of them were garbled, almost incomprehensible. They were written in old ink, faded and unloved. Still, though, they were melancholic. They painted a picture of a man with sufficient black humor to keep sane. 28th of November. The plague has confirmed my suspicions that I do not die from sickness. I don't know how to feel about that. Everyone is dead. But on the bright side, everyone is dead. 4th of December. Somebody asked me my name when I snuggled close to the fire. I told them that my name is John. It's not exactly a lie, is it? I've had so many names I must have been a John at one point. I find that thought funny. 7th of June, 1489. For decades I have searched for something in this life, and I am always disappointed by transience. What am I looking for? Meaning? Hope? Love? Death, maybe? I can bleed. Wounds to the heart heal slower than the rest of my body. I think I may die if wounded enough. I've tried that. There was a time when seeing myself bleed was the only reminder that I'm not numb. Yet my body does not form scars, no matter how many times I draw my knife. Like any sign of age or ugliness, they all fade. A wrinkle today, gone the next. As if my body isn't even my own to brand. That is a shame. I want to mar my body so badly that anyone who sees me will flee. But I've tried that too. People are crueler when you're ugly. Why is that? Why do they feel the need to punish you simply because you're detestable? Perhaps because they can, or perhaps because it is easier to be cruel to those which do not belong. I don't belong. It would be nice to disappear one day. There it is. There is confirmation that he can be killed. So he bleeds like everyone else, but heals enough not to die. A strike to the heart. If we find a way to leave this wound open, perhaps he can be exterminated. Rosa continued reading. Another feeling was starting to grow in her chest. She began to question her cause the more she read through the journal. I've been staying in the old March farm. They're good people. They invited me to eat with them, and it was in the warmth of their fire that I knew then that I must leave. I will only destroy their happiness. For the briefest of moments, I was able to experience what it is like to be part of a family. Not an outsider, but accepted. Little Sissy has taken a liking to me, though. Children are curious creatures. They are a constant reminder to humans of their own impending death, their own weakness and mortality. Yet people keep making them. One may wonder why, but it's not difficult to understand. It is a tantalizing thought, the hope that no matter your past mistakes, you were able to make something pure at one point. Watch it grow, watch it live. Such a poor thing looking up to you for love and care. It is both power and vulnerability, both selfish and selfless. A curious thing indeed. 4th of May, 1490. Also, just so people know, this takes place in 18th century France, so this isn't quite as ridiculously long ago as it sounds, but, you know, just in case the clothing style and stuff wasn't an indicator, 18th century France. As years pass, it is beginning to dawn on me that humans have holes in their souls, and they are desperate to fill them with whatever seems fit. Women, liquor, money, religion. I too have this gaping hole, and it is in my belly. I am always hungry, always hollow. We are really not that much different. Rosa shuffled through more pages and saw a different penmanship in one such entry. It caught her eye. January 1500. New century. I like it. I smell change in the air. It's so much easier to lie when you have the means. Trading is a good sport. My name nowadays is Baron Eric Delbshire. How could I have forgotten mankind's paralyzing obsession with titles? Names have power. Titles have power. I simply bought a horse and good robes and introduced myself as such. Everyone fawned over it. I could get used to this. The taste is refreshing. I must plan this better next time. A background, a story. People love stories. Maybe shall be an actor next. 9th of December, 1506. I'm inside the royal court now, rather than serving it. The abundance is staggering. I've never seen such riches since Constantinople. I can handle myself better now. I've been catching up with the times. I have been reading books, conversing, attending social events. It is time to acquaint myself with the new era, and quit wallowing in depression and guilt. Frankly, it doesn't suit my new haircut. 27th of March, 1507. Cretins everywhere. Human nature stays the same. The powerful will take advantage of the damned. So it is all a struggle for control. Is that all there is? I thought it would be different somehow. In a learned class, in a different era. What was I expecting? Fortunately, I am already well acquainted. 21st of November, 1550. I don't want to live anymore. My days are nothing but emptiness. I've told myself before that there's nothing else needed but to survive. But is that the truth? Is this all there is? If so, then Alex, please let me follow you into the darkness where death dines on souls. Please forgive me. Forgive me. Why must human lives be so fragile? It was an accident. I didn't mean to. I got careless. I shouldn't have stayed that long. The next entry's penmanship was scratchy and difficult to understand. 1st of December, 1550. I am tired of this life. It is all an endless cycle, and I can't stand the taste of it this any longer. Love turns to ash in my mouth. I'm trying to stop. I want to stop. This is my 7th day without consuming anything other than normal food. It barely grazes the bottom of my stomach. I want to see if I will die without eating love. I'm sick of this. Now you know what he is, Rosa. He consumes love. I do not know exactly what he is, but he is a monster. A demon. Didn't I tell you? I felt it in my bones. Read more, fuck yeah. Perhaps there might be more. 4th of December, 1550. This is my 10th day without it, and I am still alive. Barely. I can't even see where I'm writing anymore. I'm so weak. My body is in pain. Am I dying? I'm afraid. After all my whining, I still want life. Isn't that funny? I'm sleeping again. Sleep is the only thing that sustains me. It's dangerous for me to linger in sleep's domain, especially when I've not eaten. I have to keep writing. It's the only way to tell my mind is still my own. Maybe I should find something. I can't take it anymore. So that's why he fell so easily for the sedatives. That is not all. Perhaps we can destroy him this way as well. He is most vulnerable right now. If we attack now, he won't be able to put up any defenses. 12th of February, 1601. I have rewritten all of my entries into a new journal. I've kept some that were close to my heart. I don't know why I still keep writing. Perhaps this journal is my will to live. I look back on it and it reminds me of the years I have endured. Sometimes I have a suspicion that this is my only reason. This perverse, obsessive compulsion to hoard time, years, names. It can't end because it's such a shame. It's almost time to leave again. 19th of August, 1605. My ship arrived in France today. I plan to settle in a smaller town. I'm sick of the taste of instant gratification. Maybe I'll try a different approach next time. I need to blend in with the citizens first. My French needs work. 29th of June, 1724. Why do I keep doing this to myself? I shouldn't care so much. It always ends up broken or destroyed. I never learn. I should leave before... The entry was not finished, and some fresh pages were torn out of the book. Even if there were no names mentioned, Rosa felt that last entry was for Catherine. There were still quite a few entries that she didn't explore, but she decided to close the book. She had read enough for now. Achievement unlocked. More entries to unlock. Ooh, I wonder how I do that. I did get more that time than I did last time, so... I don't know. Rosa's hands were shaking by then. A growing feeling of understanding came over her. His thoughts were too much like her own. They were too similar. Guillaume consumes love. Rosa remembered the taste in her mouth when she had kissed Catherine. There was something else in that kiss. A boundless flavor that coated her mouth and made her realize how hungry she was. The same night that Catherine began to change. Rosa's throat throbbed. The thumping felt like it resonated throughout her whole body. Rosa fell to her knees. That same feeling of dread began to rise up in her throat. The mere mention of the thought seemed to summon the feeling in her chest. She gagged. Did I taste Catherine's love that night? Then that means that I am also... Mother? Am I... the same? She hastily pulled out the locket that Guillaume had given her previously. It was still as difficult to open as before, but right now Rosa was armed with the terrifying conclusion. She struggled with the damn thing until she thought her nails would peel off her fingers. The pendant popped open, revealing a yellowed portrait inside. Oh, finally figured it out, have you? Do you see it now? Do you see why Mother wants his punishment? My child, he is a monster, the very thing I stopped you from becoming. Don't you see? I saved you. I stopped you from feeding on other people's love. I didn't want you to be filthy. Mother's love is all you need. You have learnt enough. Now you know what to do. Kill him. He is what I have feared the most, Rosa. He must perish. Rosa's face contorted into worry. The discovery of Guillaume's identity shook her to her core, but it also made her feel the burden of their years together. Perhaps the understanding of his pain as well. Must we really do this, Mother? You still have doubts after everything you've learned? No, but This knowledge just makes me want to... You stupid child. Can't you see it is what should be done? Do it for the greater good. He should be stopped. It is the right thing to do. Is it really? It's easy to say that, but what do you really want? To stop him from hurting more people. He must be stopped. If he will not stop, there will be more victims in the future. He has grown in pride and greed. There is no telling what he will do in the future. He is nothing but a monster, a rabid dog that must be put down. But is it really the right thing? Is death the only way to change him? Yes, it is. Of course it is. There's no other choice. It's the only way to stop him. He is a monster. Besides, it is what he deserves. Am I not like him, Mother? I'm also a monster. We're the same. Yes, you are, and it is part of my regret to have ever loved you. But that is why I am here, to keep you from becoming the monster he is. Now that you know his true face, there's only one thing to do. Kill him. Rosa bit her lip until she could taste blood. But, Mother, please, don't make me kill anyone again. I'm scared. Don't worry, I will guide you. Don't you fret, my child. I will be there to guide you. It is simple, my darling. Focus on the goal ahead. This isn't right. I can't kill another person, Mother. Yes, you can. You must. To fulfill your goal, it is necessary to crush things along the way. Just remember that they don't matter. It is just you and I forever, darling. Trust no one. Love no one but me. The rest of the world can crumble to dust. You've thought about punishing him too, haven't you? What? No. How dare he put you on the sidelines? Are you not good enough to love? Am I not fetching enough? Am I not pretty enough? Why didn't you feed on me instead? No. It bothers you, doesn't it? How could you want Catherine and not me? I'm better than her. She doesn't understand you the way I do. You're the only one I've wanted this much. Why don't you desire me? Everyone does. Why not you? Stop. And just when my heart turns to Catherine, you take her away? Bastard. You took my heart. You took Catherine's. I hate you. You shouldn't be allowed to exist. The very thought of him confuses you. Catherine and him, they're both the forbidden fruit that you crave so badly. Mother keeps you right, darling. Mother keeps you clean. If you kill the dirty man, then you will stay pure. No. You don't have to be confused. But... So you're more willing to face my wrath rather than obey, is that it? What is it that you do not understand? He cannot live. You have read his journal. He's a vile, filthy insect. He has to perish. But it shouldn't be up to me to decide. It's not how it's supposed to... Mother knows what is best for you, my darling. Do you believe that? Yes, Mother. I've protected you and loved you all these years, haven't I? Yes, Mother. All my sacrifices were for you, you degenerate. Tears formed in Rosa's eyes. She grabbed her head and scratched viciously. No, I don't understand any more. I'm so confused. Please, Mother. Stop your mewling. You are not amusing me. Do you want to keep my presence with you? Do you still want my memory to stay? Of course, Mother. Please don't leave me. Do you love me, my daughter? Yes. Then do as I say, my child. Kill him. Rosa began to giggle. Her tongue danced in her mouth. She licked her lips in delight. Yes. Kill him. This is what he deserves for being filthy. I'm a little monster too, aren't I? But Mother kept me clean. She feeds me and loves me and kisses me. I'd like to cut his pretty neck open, Mother. Watch the pretty blood drain from his dirty mouth. Is that all right? I'm a monster, but Mother keeps me right. Mother, can I please play with him a little bit? Pretty please? I want to do naughty things to him. She laughed. I want to enjoy his punishment. I hate him. I love him. Now I understand why. Rosa tittered again. I will kill him, Mother. For all his sins, he deserves to die. For a moment Rosa was shocked by the gravity of her own words, but Mother's voice came to soothe her. That's my darling girl. Make sure you make him suffer for as long as possible. All the pain in the world wouldn't be enough to punish him for the damage he's caused. There was no doubt about that. Regardless of who Guillaume was, whether he was a saint or devil, killing him was the right thing to do. Yes, Mummy dear, I will follow everything you say. But I get to have fun too, right? Rosa lit Eros, bathing her face in the scarlet light cast by the candle. The night went on. The spell buried Guillaume into a deeper slumber. She brought out a gigantic carving knife she'd snuck out of the kitchen. It was almost as long as her forearm. It had been sharpened enough to tear meat from bone. She played with the shiny thing whilst whistling a lullaby. Sleep now, my precious Gilly. Dream of me. Dream and descend into the depths of your personal hell. I hope you like your gift. Rosa giggled while pricking the tip of her tongue with the sharp knife. Let me deliver your atonement. Now, just so you know, this last chapter, shit gets real. So, what in me is dark? No light, but rather darkness visible. But that is not me. What is in me is not me. I have fought with it, lived with it, and survived. Yet we become what we subdue. If that is true, then I was never myself. I am not a monster. Then what are you? Tired. Somewhat irritable? That too. I somehow prefer this side of you. Makes me wonder why I'm so stern with you. Why I care so much for your well-being. Why did I even offer you to stay with me? I do not know. You're still so generous, even if you are like this. I give because I can take. Once upon a time there lived a man, who lost his heart, so he ate others. He who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man. I never lost it. I've always been cursed without it. Then take mine. Yours. Do you love me? I think you do. Do you know how long I've traveled to find you? How far I've searched? And now you're here. Finally. My heart yearns for you, Guillaume. I love you. Stop. Nectar flows from the spring of the rose. In eminence and obstacle find none, of membrane, joint, or limb, exclusive bars. Touch me, Guillaume. My body wants you. My eyes fly open from the groggy mist of confusion. My body is bound in a force that imprisoned my limbs. Chains. The smell of your juices saturates my nose. Sweat. I am hard. Flesh. You walk up to me. Your naked body makes my throat swallow. You put a finger on my lips and trace it down my neck. Goosebumps break on my skin. You're beautiful. I have noticed before. I knew you were before you even did. But you were pure. Pure. The taste of your love was unripe fruit. Instead, I've thought of you as something I'd like to protect. Why is that? Your hair flows out like a river as it brushes against my skin. You reach your hand to me and my stomach curls. There's a tainted power radiating from you that makes me gag, like sugar dissolved in water, like a full belly on the brink of sick. I thought I'd forgotten this feeling. I'm afraid. You move closer to me and I startle back. Everything in dreams is slower. You claim my mouth with yours. It tastes just like honey. Spit ropes between our lips and I feel weaker the more I linger in this dream. A trap. Rosa, what are you doing? Stop this. You giggle. No. Your fingers grope my stiffness and stroke it hungrily. My eyes roll back. My energy drains from me. Stop. I don't want this. And yet you want me. Your body agrees. No. You want me too, don't you? Stop it, Rosa. You don't know what you're doing. See, you do love me. You want to protect me. You treat me differently. I've always kept my distance from you. You are always hovering at the edge of my vision. Pressure mounts as your hand moves faster. I will myself to move, but my mind is torn to pieces at this assault. You bow low at my groin, and your mouth opens to swallow my mound. Your tongue slides along my hardness. The sound is slick in my ear. I hit the back of your warm throat. My eyes flutter. Shit. I must escape. I can't move from this dastardly prison. What does it feel like to be helpless? Have you forgotten what it feels like to be a victim? To be weak? Ugh. Your face begins to change. You're Rosa. You're Catherine. You're Marcus. You're Diomedes. You're Psyche. Your head begins to snap and distort. The skin bubbles and the flesh tears to reveal the pulsing hide of the monster inside. Your glistening heart pumps in your chest. Another face grins as its eyes focus on me. Yet I am not afraid of this thing with its many mouths. You're merely holding a mirror up to me. And you sit on top of me, slipping me inside you. I gasp and struggle, but your hands clamp around my neck. One of your tongues licks at the side of my belly, as if sampling the food before the course. You're nothing but a parasite, you see? The other face contorts into a grin. How did you ever think you were powerful? Look at you squirm. You are an insect. It's time for me to swat you. To make you pay for all you've done. Who are you really, Rosa? But you're moving now, grinding deeper into me. Your hips slap on my thigh. The poison of disgust and arousal saturates my senses. You smile at my helplessness. The smile breaks your cheek and splits your face in two. Your mouth reveals a gaping hole. Rosa, why are you doing this? Why? Because you're filthy. You eat and you eat. I hate you. You won't even look at me. Do I have your attention now? Do I taste good? Well, it's too late. You had your chance. And now it is my turn to feed on you. Like Mother said, this is a fitting end for your crimes. My eyes widen at your words, and the realization strikes my senses. What did you say? You're... But oh, I forgive you, even if Mother can't. I love you that much. Shut up. I do. Don't you believe me? Your hips pound faster into me, and a moan escapes through my gritted teeth. Every eternity that passes saps my strength, yet I try desperately to shake my bounds. Look at you fighting me so hard. Doesn't it feel good? Aren't you supposed to like this? What does that even mean? How am I supposed to like it? How is being degraded into a rag supposed to be enjoyable? Too many times I've heard the same revolting words, all convincing me to accept my fate lying down, eyes closed. It'll be over soon. Anger rips apart my chest. Open your mouth. Take them off. Swallow. And after all that, they have the gall to tell me what I'm supposed to feel. Little boys aren't supposed to cry. Why do you refuse a lady? Doesn't it feel good? Just relax and enjoy it. It will be over soon. Not soon enough. Men and women, they're all rabid for desire. They're disgusting. I will not be anyone's toy ever again. I will not be a piece of meat. How dare you humiliate me, you wretched little witch! I rattle the bounds of my cage, and it makes you flinch. You don't notice a part of it splinter. I bare my teeth at you. I will never forgive you. Why are you so cross with me? Don't you see I am doing this for you? Shut your mouth. The creature doesn't stop. It continues to feed on my mind, its body grinding at me with increased fervor. The muscles of my thighs begin to shiver. The creature on top of me screams out my oldest names out of its many mouths. It drools over me with ecstasy. It is never, ever gentle. It grasps my neck and suffocates me as it nears its peak. Yes, mine. You're mine. I struggle out of the creature's grip. I can feel my body weaken and tense at the same time. My groin throbs and calls out for more flesh. Even at its peril, my body doesn't listen to me at all. Desire is its own ruler. I concentrate on breaking the spell that holds me in place. The creature on my groin is nothing but another mouth. Its tongue slips and slides at me with every push. But it is hard to escape. The pressure in my bladder distracts me from my goal. My consciousness is frail and almost out of my grip. My lungs cry out for air. Terror mounts inside me as I feel my life drain away. Perhaps I should stop struggling. Perhaps let the monster take me. I'm so tired. So tired of fighting. You poor thing. The momentary lapse on the creature's hold lets loose a part of my mind. I gather all my remaining strength and push back at the crack I made a while ago. The spell shatters, and I break free. I do not give the creature a chance to think. I jab my hand into its chest and rip its heart out. I slice through its skin until flesh erupts on my fingers. It sprays out thick, dark blood onto my face. The spell on me weakens. I feel power returning to my body. And yet the creature laughs, the sound resonating from around me. I am not going to die here. I have sacrificed far too much to perish. The creature's laughter jeers at me. For what? I grasp one of its limbs and pull. The flesh tears away like a flower's petals. The creature drowns in its own blood. I break its wings and it howls in pain. I push it off me, striking its malformed body. Every blow breaks bones and snaps sinews. Yet the creature still laughs. I am not to be mocked, you filthy thing. I am powerful, and I will endure. I have played this game for centuries, and I will not be beaten at my own device. The creature crawls at my feet. Suspended blood forms scarlet jewels around us. In dreams, time is slow. It caresses my leg with its girlish hand. You enjoyed it too, didn't you? I did it all for you. I bring my foot up. Its head titters as I crush its skull under my heel. Ugh. I love you. Okay, I'm gonna save real quick. And also get a drink. Because talking is drying out my throat. Okay. Good old water. Guillaume woke from the dream with bloody hands. His trousers were wet. His groin still felt sore and pulsing inside his pants. He stood up from the bed and his vision floundered. He fell onto the floor, losing balance from the sudden frailty of his legs. The churning in his stomach wouldn't go away. Bile rose up in his throat and he vomited. Every breath was shallow and tasted like sick. He closed his eyes. He laid on the floor for a little while, dragging air into his lungs until the urge to vomit passed. How could darkness still spin without ground? Guillaume's fist balled up in anger. To be degraded into this pathetic state was unforgivable. He felt a fury burning hot in his heart, consuming every thought in his head. He tried to rein it in. It was an unnecessary expulsion of energy at this point. He didn't know how long he had laid there in the dark, helpless and weak beside his own vomit and blood, but soon his strength came back to him. Pushing himself from the floor, Guillaume staggered around his room. He cleaned himself and put on fresh clothes. He could still feel the tugs of odious power within his stomach. He walked to his bedside drawer and looked inside. The old dagger glinted at him with malice. It reminded him of his anger, forged and sharpened over the years. His hatred was distilled in this blade. He gripped the dagger's hilt until red welts formed on his hands. He felt bound by purpose and rage. He could hear her calling out to him. A whisper. A taunt. Guillaume, play with me again. Please? You know where to find me. He shivered as his teeth grinded in his mouth. You will pay for this. Guillaume heard voices waft around his ears. Ever since he had woken up from the dream, his vision doubled. He would be walking on the floor one minute, then slipping the next. Guillaume held on to the wall. It seemed the spell hadn't ended with the dream. He hated the feeling of being powerless. He gripped the dagger, biting his lip to keep himself awake. The domain of sleep was where he was most vulnerable. His attacker must have known this too. He regained some of his strength, but he was still weakened considerably. Rosa. So, she was a witch. How come he had never noticed before? The years had made him soft. Guillaume clenched his jaw. Either way, it didn't matter. It was starting to get boring. He would just have to deal with Rosa tonight. Then he would pack his bags and leave for Asia. Guillaume smiled despite his nausea. Just you wait, my dear. I'll pay you back for your contempt. He opened the door to Catherine's room. At once Gam noticed the tinge of red that saturated the room. A blood-red candle shone brightly on the table. The air was heavy with the salty musk of sex, and his vision began to flounder once again. Somehow he felt unprepared. A prickle of fear stained his pride. He was suddenly aware that his anger had led him here without enough forethought. His hand tightened on the dagger. Somebody was shifting on the bed, but the room was too dark to see who it was. Gam stepped closer. He could hear low, rousing moans from the bed. They increased in fervor and excitement as he stepped nearer. Gam's mouth salivated. A final soft squeal came, and the figure rose from the bed into the light of the candle. "Hi, Gilly. Thanks for waiting for me to finish. I got so excited at the thought of you coming over that I couldn't help myself. It feels good to release pent-up frustration, doesn't it?" The woman stepped forward, and Gam instinctively took a step back. "See? You are my biggest frustration. Years, Guillaume, years! I held myself back, fighting my own nature. For what? I don't even know anymore." Sweat dribbled on Guillaume's brow. He wiped it off hastily. He could feel his muscles tensing, a clenching in his abdomen akin to being touched. "What do you want?" Rosa giggled. "Retribution. But not before I get to play around. Mother allowed me just this once. A reward for being a good girl." Guillaume's vision spun. The sweat poured off his whole body. His breathing was bated and hot. He clutched his dagger and brandished it. "Release me from this spell now. I'm warning you." "That is adorable." She stepped towards him. Guillaume saw a glint of something sharp in one of her hands. His head pulsed like a splinter was stuck in his brain. Guillaume felt like a child now. He suddenly realized how puny his demands sounded. "Do you really want to fight me, Guillaume? I know how to kill you. A strike to the heart. A wound that will never heal." She was taunting him. "And this spell. I made this spell especially for you. Your own power of emitting desire is used against you. It makes my spell more powerful while you become weaker. You must admit, it is impressive." "I am more powerful than you, Guillaume." Guillaume choked on his own spit. He swallowed and swallowed, but the liquid in his mouth seemed to drown him. "What does it feel like, being seduced against your own will?" She stepped even closer to him, so close that her bosom rubbed on his arm. Guillaume couldn't move. His arms felt heavy and numb. His dagger clattered to the floor as she stepped nearer. Her power was double his own. The spell seemed to magnify with her proximity. She ran her hands over his chest, chasing a finger down his shirt. "Getting torn down the middle must be excruciating. Now you know how your victims feel, you dirty monster." "Who are you?" "I am your judge, Guillaume. I am your scourge, your truth. I am like you, a creature that emanates and feeds on desire. But unlike you, I am clean. I am pure." "What?" "Mother's love. She keeps me clean. I am attached to her teat and sucking at her love way after she died." Sorry. "Isn't it wonderful? You should know, Guillaume. You sired me." "What?" Rosa took out the locket that Guillaume had given her before. The locket was open now, and a woman's face was inside. The portrait was blurry, and the face in the picture could belong to anyone, but Rosa cradled it like it was her child. "Isn't Mother beautiful? You've probably forgotten her. But she was the most beautiful woman ever. It's no wonder why you fell for her father." "You depraved witch! I'm not your father. I was never able to. Don't you dare deny it. Mother told me so. Mother's always right. That is why I'm here. Get away from me. I'm the angel of vengeance." "Oh, Father, please understand. You hurt her so much. Her hate only fueled her love. She still loves you a lot." "Shut up," Guillaume spat. "Stop calling me father. I've never had a child with any woman." Rosa just laughed. "Why are you so embarrassed, Father? Is it because you were aroused by my body? Do I confuse you? Well, don't hold yourself back. I really love you. Mother loved me too. Our own flesh calls out to us. Ah, isn't it romantic? It is beautiful in its perversion. We are creatures of desire." I got an achievement unlocked that's called Squick. Yep, Squick. It is an inherently natural phenomenon. Any desire is justifiable, no matter how depraved. You are the kind of creature I despise. Twisted, hungry, self-righteous. You are rabid. Giam's hateful words just heightened Rosa's pleasure. I love it when you call me such dirty words, father. I love it. I love it. If it distresses you, then I won't treat you like my father, but simply a man. Such little details don't matter to me at all. I got another achievement, fan disservice. Love it. Love is all you need, isn't it? Love conquers all. Guillaume gritted his teeth. Yes, yes, it does. Mother loved me with her whole heart. She loved me in thought and body. That is why I was able to live through centuries without feeding. Her love is the only love I need. You, on the other hand, you are vile, repugnant, filthy. Rosa licked the sweat off Guillaume's neck. Her tongue slid on his skin so enticingly. The hair on Guillaume's arms stood up. She was so near now, her skin glistening with sweat. Her lips were wet and plump like apples. Guillaume shut his eyes. He wanted to push her away despite his petrified body, but his mind was torn. A part of him frolicking upon the thought of pulling her corset free and sucking on her breasts, pulling her hair, running his lips on her shoulders, pushing her wrists down onto the floor, inhaling her scents and letting his tongue savor the wetness under her skirt. He bit his lip and his teeth broke through skin. The pain gave him momentary control over his drugged mind. If he didn't find a way to stop the spell soon, it would be his downfall. Oh, but what a temptation you are, you shameless rake. You're enticing in your debauchery. I've been so good all these years. I didn't even feed once. And you just eat and eat and eat to your little heart's content? Where's your discretion, you pig? You even stole away Catherine's love before I got a taste. It's not fair. I don't know what you're talking about. Rosa giggled. Don't play dumb with me. I'm the only one who understands your nature. We're two of a kind. You can't lie to me. Then release me. I've done nothing to you. Rosa licked her lips. I'm sorry, darling, but I can't. As long as you exist, I can never have peace, knowing that you're out in the world, feeding. I'll get jealous, you see. You crazy witch. Rosa just laughed, and Guillaume felt a rising terror as she pressed her body against his. I love you so much. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I can't control myself any longer. You will be my first and last feeding. Did you enjoy your dream of me, Guillaume? I made the spell stronger now. I'll make sure you won't get away this time. Guillaume was silent for a moment. Then a low snicker escaped from his mouth. What's so funny? You. Pathetic little girl. I pity you. With these words, the spell started to waver just a little bit. At least I have the decency to own my curse and not hide under self-righteous proclamations. I get to enjoy the scraps of our despicable lives. And you? How does it taste living under your mother's rotting love? You're probably tired of it by now, aren't you? Mommy's love doesn't taste so good after decades of sucking on it. Guillaume's hunch was correct. The spell was a charm to entice and seduce. It was linked directly to the caster. If he could distract Rosa, then the hold of the charm would weaken. Already he could feel sensation return to his fingers. In the end, you're just a leech, feeding off an ancient, decomposing love. It's no wonder you're insane. Rosa pushed him onto the floor. She was still powerful. The curse hadn't lost all of its effect. Guillaume's back hit the floor with a thud. Rosa climbed on top of him. She rubbed her hips on his body furiously, angrily. Her hands grabbed his manhood and squeezed. Guillaume let out a painful groan. You do not talk about my mother that way! The levels of hate and desire mixed and saturated the air. It suffused Guillaume's senses. His mind went blank for a moment. I will make you pay for your words. I will suck you dry until you are nothing but a husk. I will devour your mind. I will take it all. Your love will fill me up, but I know Mother's love will still be the best. Guillaume felt the cold, sharp knife savagely tearing at his clothes. The fear surfaced on his senses and snapped him back. But Guillaume just laughed again. Take it. Take my body. Make yourself feel good, Rosa. I feel sorry for you. It had been a while since he had been violated like this. He thought he had been able to run away by being smarter, being dominant. The bitterness of being an object of desire sent a coating of gall up his throat. But he only flashed a sadistic grin. You don't even have to kill me soon. Why not make me your slave? I'm sure that's worthy punishment for all the victims I've claimed. Rosa stopped once again, confused at his words. You're just like the rest of them. He laughed maniacally. Just like everyone else. Go on, dear, why did you stop? He was chuckling now. His deranged eyes stared at Rosa. Pain sifted through the cracks. It is most humbling to be reminded of my real purpose, Rosa. Use me. Use me for your pleasure, for your vengeance or your justice, then throw me away. In the end, we're all just using each other. He laughed again. Love? Love doesn't exist. It's just fear wrapped up in a pretty package. Only desire is real. Only need. He looked up at Rosa with a sneer. How much of your mother do you really remember? I don't remember any creature birthing me. Do you? Shut up, you worm. You must admit the possibility that this mother you speak of was simply a stranger who took you in because of our curse. Rosa's mouth hung open in shock. Must be why it's so easy for you to use her memory to justify your filth. That is not true. I love Mother with all my heart. I'm doing what Mother wants. I just follow her orders. I am her vessel. She lives through me. Then answer me this. Why would any mother who loves her child want her to be a murderer? She doesn't love you. She's just using you. Same as how you're using her to survive. Rosa clamped her hands tighter on Guillaume's neck. Shut up! Shut up! I'm doing this because Mother is always right. I am avenging her. Really? Guillaume choked. Go on then. Why don't you ask your mother why you're here? Why you're really here? Maybe she's just enjoying the show. That's not true. Mother loves me. Rosa's eyes lost focus. She struggled to listen to Mother's voice. Mother? Should I really be doing this? I don't remember how I did this last time. I don't really want quite the same ending. So, yes. Don't let his silver tongue fool you, child. You have a purpose. This is what you're supposed to do. Why? To get revenge. Have you forgotten all the horrible things he's done, child? He is a monster and he hurt your mommy. He hurt Catherine. You should pay for everything he's done. But I don't want to kill anyone, Mother. Rosa's grip on Guillaume's neck slackened. Guillaume coughed at the sudden influx of air. Rosa stared at her hands in confusion. Tears started to run down her face. Why do you want me to kill somebody, Mother? Should I really do it? Why should I be the one to kill him? Because you're the only one who can. Child, you've seen his face. You have an opportunity to end his existence. But why should I be the one to kill him? Can't somebody else do that? Mother, I don't want to be a murderer. Please don't make me do it. I'm scared. How dare you disobey me? I already told you that you must. I will not stand your disobedience, you ingrate. Why are you doing this? I said I don't want to do it. Stop making me want to do it. Do you even love me, Mother? Of course I do, child. Then why do you force me to kill someone? Is that it? So you're just going to keep silent? I hate you, Mother. I hate you. You are nothing but a cruel, spiteful bitch. What, are you not going to speak again? Have you run out of your gall? Say something, you bitch! Rosa screamed with tears in her eyes. All this time I've spent with you, I have always obeyed you. I loved you, Mother. You were always so cruel to me. So many times you called me a monster, blamed me and hurt me. But despite the hurt, I never wanted to get rid of you. I thought, to endure the pain, isn't that real love? To continue hurting and sacrificing proves how true my love is. All my tears should mean something. Nobody told me that was a lie. She continued sobbing, crumpled by the wall and pulling desperately on her hair. She would shout her anger sometimes, would whisper sometimes. Then her head snapped back in alert. She cupped her hands on her ears, her face contorted into worry. Mother? Did you say something? I didn't hear you. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say those things. I was just... Please don't be angry. I love you, Mother. Please come back. I'm nothing without you. I don't want to be alone. Rosa sobbed with grief. Just come back to me, Mother. I'll never question you again. Gam felt his full consciousness return to him. The sickly, nauseating atmosphere in the room started to dissipate. The spell was losing effect, but his body still refused to follow his orders. He crawled to where she had dropped the large knife. He stretched out his fingers to reach the weapon. You're letting him get away! Kill him now! Rosa's eyes lost their sadness. She smiled in pure bliss at the sound of Mother's command. She brought her foot down on Guillaume's outstretched hand. Ah! She picked up the meat cleaver. She lifted the blade. The knife sunk deep into Guillaume's chest, almost halfway to its hilt. Guillaume groaned in pain, his breath cut short by the sudden spurt of blood in his throat. She brought it up again, plunged the blade deeper, and carved downwards. His mouth flooded with blood. Happy tears fell from Rosa's eyes. You had me so worried, Mother. I'm so happy you're back. I will never question you again. Guillaume sputtered out flecks of red as he laughed. Thank you. Thank you. Been waiting for this. Rosa raised the weapon higher and brought it down again. It pierced his heart this time. Guillaume's hands clenched and flailed, but he was laughing at the end. Oh, bliss. The pain was beginning to fade. Every weight he carried shrunk as his heart went into shock. Rosa watched as the life left Guillaume's body. It annoyed her that his face was contorted into a sneer, as if even in his death he still continued to taunt her. Finally, he stopped moving. She kicked at him with spite. Bastard! I'm glad you're dead. She wiped her hands on her dress, which were now drenched in blood. It's a shame you didn't want to die the fun way, Gilly. You could have lived a little longer. Rosa giggled. No matter. Anyone who disrespects Mother deserves to die painfully. Rosa gave a satisfied sigh. What shall I do now, Mother? Mother? Don't do this to me again. Talk to me. Mother, where are you? I did what I was told. Aren't you proud of me? Rosa burst into tears again. Why are you doing this to me, Mother? Don't you know I love you so much? I do all that you ask. I'm nothing without you, Mother. Please talk to me. Why are you so cruel to me? What did I do wrong, Mother? Whatever it is, I'll do what you want. Just please, please don't torture me like this. I'm afraid of being alone. You evil bitch. Now that you got what you wanted from me, you leave me? I hate you. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied? Rosa fell to the floor and sobbed. Come back. I don't want to be alone, Mother. Please come back. Rosa ran to Guillaume's body in desperation. She dropped the knife. Gilly? Gilly? I'm sorry. Please don't be dead. Rosa touched Guillaume's face and slapped his cheek. Please! You're the only one left! Gilly! Rosa shook his shoulders, calling his name. She attempted to patch up the wound on his chest, pulling the blood back into his body. His body was still warm, but there was no breath left in him. There was no beat in his heart. Rosa had a sudden idea. If I give you my love, will it revive you? If I can take love, can I give it back? Guillaume, I still do love you, I do. She kissed Guillaume's lips, forcing whatever power she had into him. But he didn't move, no matter what she tried. Aren't we supposed to live long lives, Guillaume? We were supposed to be the same. Why are you so fragile? Rosa hit his chest in distress. You can't be dead. I've never been alone. Please don't leave me alone. Rosa began to giggle. Mother's playing with me. Mother, is this a game? Are you playing hide and seek? She tore at her hair and laughed. Is Gilly also playing? Catherine, come join. Rosa sobbed. Mother, please, I don't want to be alone. Please, please. Achievement unlocked, emptiness. Ending 4, mutation. Okay, so that is a different ending. And that's the end of the game. Your main purpose is revenge. You called Rosa a monster. You opened Guillaume's locket. You told Rosa the family's the most important thing. You wanted to read more of Guillaume's journal. You took Guillaume's keys. 58% complete. Okay. I didn't look at what my choices were last time. I forgot. So yeah. In the other ending, the one I got last night instead of today, um, it was shoot, what was it? Rosa kept crying. I had Mother stay silent. Rosa kept crying, and Guillaume took pity on her, basically. Like, I think he blew out the candle to end the spell, and took pity on her, and started, hugging her and stuff. And basically told her, it's like, you can, you can still use me. And he, if I'm trying to remember properly, I think he scooped her up in his arms, and, consoled her, and said, I'm not going to leave you, we'll always be together. But the achievement was hostage. So it's kind of like he just basically took her and was like, I'm going to keep you, as my slave, basically. But we'll be each other's slave or something. It was weird. I can't decide if Gam dying is sad or not, because... Oops, didn't mean to bump my mic. Because, like, on the one hand, it is sad. Like, for the most part, I find Gam pretty sympathetic. Like, I don't know how someone would handle that situation, I guess. That kind of curse or plight or, whatever was, going on with him. But, it's one of those things that, like, obviously he had remorse for everything he had done over the years. And so I find it difficult to be happy that he's dead just because of, the whole fact that it's like, dude, that's depressing. You deserve actual love. But at the same time, he was basically, suicidal, like had a death wish. So on the other hand, maybe it's better for him to die. I don't know. I really don't know. I've only had 2 endings, and neither of those are the good ending. I would assume, considering they were endings 3 and 4. So I'm missing the pure ending. Probably not gonna play through every ending just because it would get repetitive, trying to get every variation. But I definitely recommend this. It's free to play on Steam, and it's pretty fucking good. If you just search Cupid, it should come up. So yeah, I don't regret downloading it. It was pretty good. And I guess that will be it for now. Gosh, I've been recording for about an hour and a half. I guess that's about the average time it takes for each video of these, so... Anyway, that's it for now. I don't know if I'm going to stream again later tonight or not, but there you go. That's the end of Cupid, or one of the endings of Cupid. I will see you guys another time. Bye.